Why am I talking about this movie and not Trap? Because you're gonna have like 5 videos in your feed about Trap and not a single one about this movie because you ain't going to see it. No one else is gonna go see it, so someone had to. Also, I don't have a Purple Crayon with me, so let's try Trev and the purple clothes hanger. Yippee! Also, before I go on, I think I should acknowledge what my shirt says. Breast Fest. The breast party is back. Yeah, I know. The most appropriate shirt to wear for a kid's movie, right?
With the crayon, anything is possible.
That they step right into this world.
Let's see how this baby works in the real world.
Harold and the Purple Crayon comes to us years after being delayed constantly and is based off the picture book by Crockett Johnson. And in this movie, we follow Harold, now all grown up, as he ventures into the real world where his trusty Purple Crayon may set off more hijinks than he ever thought possible. Okay, so before we get into things, I should probably let you know that I never read this book as a kid. I knew it existed, but I have never seen a single page from this book, nor have I ever probably seen a physical copy in my life. The most I've seen of Harold and the Purple Crayon was from an episode of Robot Chicken where he fights the kid from Chalk Zone.
This is my world, kid. You don't even stand a chance. Chalk was around long before your dumb little crayon.
But I knew the main character was a little boy, and the main character in this movie is clearly been thought of by someone who just saw the cover of the book and maybe a page or two. Yeah, when I first heard about this movie being made, I thought it was going to be an animated film where Zachary Levi voiced Harold's dad or something. But in the book, apparently, the little boy was quiet. So of course let's age him up and then have him do what apparently every live-action kids movie nowadays is still doing and send him and his friends to the real world. And why does adult animated Harold look like the man with the yellow hat from the Curious George movie? Am I the only one who thought that? And one thing you also got to keep in mind during this review is that this movie was in production hell for a damn good while. This movie has gotten delayed so many times that I remember this poster for this event thing we were doing at our movie theater, and one of the movies we were supposed to be showing was Harold and the Purple Crayon, but it got delayed, so that never happened. Now, I feel like there's going to be 2 different ways people are going to look at this movie. If you grew up on this book and had a connection with it as a kid, you're probably going to downright hate this movie and think it's disrespectful to the author's original creation. Then if you're like me and have no connection to this book, then you're probably going to think this movie is completely harmless. Which, yeah, that's the best way I can put it. This is 100% going to be the most harmless kids movie you are going to watch this year. It's not a good movie, but it's a tolerable one. But are we going to still criticize it like I do every movie? Oh, hell yeah. I'll first start off with saying that this was probably the wrong direction for them to go with this movie, because this feels less like Harold and the Purple Crayon and more like The Last Airbender, where whether or not you've seen the original source material that it's based on, you still feel like something is not right here. Throughout the entire movie, I just kept thinking, why didn't they just adapt the original book? I mean, think about it. You got this story about this little boy who's got a magic crayon who can create whatever his mind comes up with. You could do something with that to make an entire 90-minute animated movie. And let me emphasize on that. An animated movie. Not live action, animated. But nope, let's make the little boy into Zachary Levi, because he's not doing anything right now, and then have him be sent to the real world because, well, we haven't seen that a million times before, have we? I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot what I was watching after a while, and this movie barely has anything to do with the original source material, despite them trying to incorporate elements from the book. Now I know what some of you might be saying, but they said he grew up and that he came from the book. Okay, so while he does grow up, I could not tell you whether or not he came from the book because the movie never explains it because it's so freaking rushed. And yep, that's another major issue, the editing. If I didn't know that this movie was stuck in production hell for years, I could have guessed it in the first 3 minutes. This movie is so poorly edited that we had no time to get to know who Harold is, what his world is like, and how his magic crayon can just create life itself. We get to know so little about everything that this is literally how the movie just starts off. That's Harold, he grew up, let's go to the real world, guys. That all happens in like the span of 3 minutes. The movie is only 90 minutes long, but it feels like there was a good 10 to 15 minutes cut out of it. And there's so much crammed into this 90-minute runtime that I completely forgot about the subplot where the porcupine is running from the cops. Or I say the porcupine, but like her in human form. And I know it's a kid's movie, but this is so predictable and you know every step it's gonna take. The whole reason they go to the real world is because they gotta find their narrator who has disappeared out of nowhere. And I think most of you can put together who it's going to be and what's gonna happen. And honestly, if you've seen something like the Fat Albert movie, you've basically seen this entire movie. Except if you're thinking that the whole Harold leaving the book world thing is like how Fat Albert and his friends left the TV, it really isn't, because Harold didn't disappear from his book or anything. But again, I found this movie to be completely harmless. And I can honestly see some people having the same reaction to this as I did the Garfield movie in Despicable Me 4, thinking it's downright awful and it disrespects the original and what it used to be. But there is one thing that really saves this movie, and it's Zachary Levi's performance. Despite not being a little boy like in the book, he is so charming and likable as this character that he really does save the movie from being boring. I will also say, I don't know if they did or not, but they actually had him like drawing in mid-air with like nothing in front of him or anything. That is really damn impressive. And the effects in those scenes are really good, actually. But even he can't save this movie from a generic script, because we even got the bearded bad guy who wants to steal Harold's crayon for his own wrongdoings. And who's the evil bad guy? Library Gary! Ooh, so evil. Honestly though, when you say out loud that he's trying to steal Harold's crayon, it really sounds like two kindergartners fighting. Oh, and I honestly just thought of this. Wouldn't it have been awesome if Library Gary was just the kid from Chalk Zone and they had this like giant fight of like who was the best drawer and whatnot? That I would pay to see. But again, I guess Robot Chicken already did that. But then again, with this being a live action movie where animated characters go to the real world, of course there's a scene where they start skating around everywhere and then everyone around them starts to skate around because why not? We haven't done everything else that all these movies have done already. So yeah, Harold and the Purple Crayon was fine. I don't know what you're expecting me to say. If you have kids, they'll enjoy it fine, but if you don't have kids, you're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine for the 20th time like me. I'm gonna give Harold and the Purple Crayon a C. Oh, by the way, I know you're not going to see this movie, but if you do go see this movie, pay very close attention to a scene during the climax where two characters are on a motorcycle, because I swear to God, there is one shot, maybe I just blinked wrong, there is one shot where they just completely disappear off the motorcycle. Now it's time to see what my trusty purple hanger can actually do. Yay! Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, turn on the notification bell, and I'll be back later with more reviews. See you then.